Working in B2B marketing can feel like a constant juggle, balancing all the tasks assigned to you by sales leaders and colleagues, running all the basics of the department. And that's just at work. What about, well, life? With all this in mind, if you've ever felt like you've lost your spark for marketing, you're definitely not alone. Today, I'm talking through a day in my life, and not just the time I spent as an in-house marketer, exactly like you, but as I am now today as a marketing business owner, a busy mum of two, and someone who's had to actively rediscover my spark time and time again. So if you're feeling stuck, I hope this helps you.
Beautiful.
You absolutely can take control of your career and feel excited once again. If you are listening to this episode on the podcast, you might want to hop over to my YouTube channel, B2B Jade TV, where you can watch my day in the life. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel too. Okay, welcome to my life. Weird. I'm so weird. We all set off in our path to becoming marketers with this vision of excitement, making change, doing cool things, like strutting around the office like in Devil Wears Prada. And I definitely had my years doing that when I worked in a big corporate called DS Smith PLC. It was so fun, everything was so structured. I had autonomy and freedom, but I also had guidelines I had to work within. And there were obviously challenges like in any company, but I've definitely experienced that like extremely exciting marketing career. And then I've also experienced where you're just stuck on the task wheel. You're just doing loads of things that don't really seem to connect with what the business wants to do. I want to talk to you today about how I went from having this incredible spark in the first place. The way I would describe it is like a fire under you. I think it started when I was about 12, 13, when I used to go to my dad's office. He owned a small media publishing house. He had like consumer goods magazines. One thing I remember falling in love with was the smell of new stationery. The cleaner had been in before we got there, the water machine, the coffee machine, the smell of printed paper. I'd spent a bit of time on work experience there. And I remember feeling, oh, this is where I belong. I didn't even know what they did, but like that office feeling was so magic to me. And interestingly, my work experience, because I seemed interested in this type of stuff, I was put into work experience within a consumer brand, like a fashion brand. And I was so rubbish there. My job was to tag the clothes and organise the clothes. And I was so bad at it. I was so uninterested. I didn't understand what I was doing. And then basically my dad would drive into the city centre in Leeds, where I'm from, and then I would go off to this work experience. But all I could think about was when it would finish and when I was able to go back to his office to do more of the shadowing him, the stuff that I loved. It was interesting that as B2B Jade, there was an opportunity for me to become excited about B2C, but there was nothing that excited me. And one of the first tasks I had, and I'm not really sure how allowed this would be these days, but I was given a list of companies to ring by my dad. And basically it was just like, hey, can you add us to your database? This would have been the 90s. I imagine back then that it would be, they're a publishing company, we want to be on your database of companies that people would look up to advertise in. I don't know, but I loved it. I loved picking up the phone and being like, hi, this is Jade calling from Jasper Media. I was just wondering if you could add us to your database. And I just loved hearing my dad talk about sales targets with his team, showing them how it's done, cracking on. And I just thought, like, this is where I belong. It wasn't until I dropped out of art college, and I don't mean proper art college, I mean like the local college, doing something, whatever you would do when you're 17 instead of your A-levels. I did art in that capacity. I knew I was creative. I'd been told to do art by all my teachers and stuff. It didn't mean anything to me, that work I was doing in art college. It didn't connect with any future thing. It wasn't something I could think, yeah, I can see me doing this. It's like, why am I playing with clay and trying out all these different mediums when all I want to do is paint? I quit and I looked in the newspaper. This was 2005. There was a company hiring in my town. It just said, like, are you talkative, motivated? Then we want to hear from you. And I rung them and had an interview, and they said, sell me this pen. I think the sign that I was a marketer was there because I asked a question. I said, how are you finding the pen you're using right now? And that was just instinctive, because I knew if you want to sell something to someone, you have to understand what's going on for them at the moment. And so they gave me a job. I mean, everyone there got a job. We had 2 weeks of sales training, got on the phones, 100 calls a day. I loved it. It was the best thing. Even now, I think working in cold call telesales was the best thing. In 2005, cold call telesales was really booming because people had to buy that way. If they wanted information, they had to speak to someone like me. I sold B2B marketing data lists. When I started, I didn't know I'd become B2B Jade. I didn't know B2B marketing was going to be my whole life. It was just a complete coincidence that that's what I was selling instead of something like insurance. Just got talking to people on the phones. It just fit me like a glove. Building that rapport, figuring out what they needed. I'd really learned in the sales training about how to resonate with people, how to understand their needs. And I will never forget, this is like a core memory for me, when that fire was really burning in terms of like, this is what I'm doing. The MD of the entire business was stood next to my desk and I was like doing my thing. Like, tell you what, Colin, I'm going to figure something out for you today. I don't know what it was, but he was giving me really, really tough objections. But there was a cheeky banter within him where he was interested and we were vibing off it. It was challenging, but my gift of the gab was on form. I was just like back and forth, literally like tennis, ping pong, the thing with the table tennis. And I remember we would always do this strategy where you'd mute them to see if you're allowed to get like a better deal, which we knew we were. So you just muted them and had a sip of your drink or danced to the music in the call centre. Yeah, I paused it and Andy, the MD, went, "Oh, she's good. She's good," like that. And he was telling everyone what I was doing. And it's not about like bigging myself up, but I'm just saying how I remember feeling in a flow state with resonating with people, knowing that this product would work for him, knowing that it was better than what he was using currently, knowing that I had all the answers to his objections was such a great feeling. I did close him and I got to ring the bell and I just loved doing that. One day walking past the boardroom and marketing are in there and they're having a meeting about a campaign and I just see the visuals on the screen. My friend Nick headed up their marketing because he'd been on the phones as well and he'd managed to kind of get in with them. And I was just like looking, literally like face pressed up to the glass and he like kind of winked at me as if to be like, you shouldn't really be looking, but whatever. And there was something about what they were doing in that room. I think they were going through the creative for a big event we were having. And there was like Foo Fighters, what was the song? I think it was like Learn to Fly or something. But they were showing all images of all of the team doing cool things, all our data, shooting out with graphics. I don't know, it was just, you know, those moments where you're like, that is so cool and I really want to do that. And it's part of the reason why I do want to explore a live marketing conference. It's something I would love doing so much. I've run big marketing events, customer engagement events with hundreds of people. I loved it so much, like the production, the graphics, the lighting, everything coming together in an experience. I would love to do that, but realistically, you know, today, if I think about my day, even getting YouTube content out on my TikToks is hard because I've got these kids. In the morning, I have to do their lunch boxes. I have to get them to school. I have to clear up. Once I've dropped them to school, I have to think about what they're having for dinner later. I have to make sure that I'm present with them and like support them in whatever they're going through. It can feel really hard when your spark is well and truly back, but you can't necessarily go for it with everything that you would want to do. That's where I'm up to at the moment with this spark, is that day looking through the thing with the marketing conference room. That was the day my spark was well and truly activated. And I said to the MD, I was like, I want to be in marketing. What have I got to do? He was like, what's ROI? I said, Republic of Ireland. And then he was like, go do Chartered Institute of Marketing. You need to do that. And I went to all these events. I was volunteering. I didn't have much money because I'd spent all my commission on clothes I didn't need. And I was paying for my rent because I moved out when I was 17 and I had my own place. And yeah, I didn't have any money, but they were like, if you hand out the biscuits and stuff and introduce people, well, I kind of created that role, I think. And it was just that tenacity of nothing is getting in my way. And I think that is what we need. We've got to reconnect with it because I had that instinctively from those ages. I'm not going to be told what I'm doing. You're not going to tell me I'm not going to be in marketing. There were other salespeople who were like, you're just a sales girl. You have literally zero education, which was correct. The most I had was GCSEs. It was like, you don't go into marketing. That doesn't happen for people like you. You're just a sales girl. Get back on the blowers. Stop dreaming. And I was like, it wasn't even like oh, I need to do it even though they're saying it. It was like didn't register. And so I went to these CIM events, and the spark and the fire was just growing and growing and growing and growing. And then one day I did get into a big corporate, and it was my dreams come true. I was leaving at 5 a.m. to get to a few towns away by 8. And I told my old boss, who is still a really good friend, sorry, Tim, if you're watching, I was like, oh yeah, I'm really close to getting my license, because he was like, you'll need to drive for this job. I was like, yeah, it's cool. And so I wouldn't tell anyone that I was getting 3 trains to work, taking 2.5 hours. It was 10 miles away, but because of the trains, I had to go the wrong way to the other city. From that city, go all the way back on myself, and then to the next town, and then to the next town, and then walk up a massive hill in all weather. And I'd turn up all dishevelled, and they'd be like, what's wrong? But that is that motivation. I think when you're not educated, you want to do whatever it takes to be taken seriously. One of my first jobs was to just redo the website, and I just went all out. Like, I was doing concept boards, I was looking at positioning, and it was all stuff that not necessarily came to me, but I think because of the years of my dad talking about brand positioning, customers resonating with people, and all the sales experience, I really inherently knew that the website, even though it was only 2009 by this point, it needed to be encouraging people to look at us, not the others. I knew that it was about, how can we convince these people to meet with us? Everything was about converting. Everything was about ranking the highest on Google. How am I going to get opportunities with these people? How are we going to get to speak to them? And I couldn't believe that I didn't have to be the one to actually speak to them. I definitely ruffled some feathers, because there'd just been some beautiful new brand guidelines done by the marketing assistant whose maternity leave I was covering, and she'd done such an incredible job. And I came in like a whirlwind and just was like, we're going to do this. And I definitely needed to rein in that creativity and excitement, but at the same time, it did do me really well. And I think it did the company really well. I started to move up in seniority and taking on more responsibility. And I would always look at marketing challenges with that sales angle, with that understanding that the most important thing here is the results behind it, the customers being happy. I didn't cognitively know any of this, but I think it just, when you're from a sales background, you instinctively feel that. So then when you end up in that kind of marketing task wheel scenario where you're just doing loads of stuff that isn't connected, do you know what happens? Over time, that spark, it goes. I worked in different companies, and the big corporate I worked in was the best experience of my life. I'm just talking like in general sense across my entire career. When you end up in boardrooms who kind of talk down at marketing, who think it's all fluffy, who don't see the point in investing, who are like, you can do that, you're the marketer, you just end up flat. You think, yeah, they're right. I was just so excited. This is not B2C. And it's like, no, you're not wrong. You are right. This is about resonating with people. And I've never been excited about crappy, quirky ad campaigns that play on words. I've enjoyed doing that a little bit, but like, I don't care about that. I care about resonating with someone saying, that is my problem and you've solved it. You're brilliant. That's what I care about. Once you start to feel that spark for marketing leave you, it's so important to try and reconnect with it, even if that means just doing a little bit of something of your own.
One thing you can do to get your spark back is reflect on who you were at those times. Think about your spark moment. Was there a particular ad you saw? Was there something that somebody said to you? Who were you at that time? Were you different in how you saw life, how you approached challenges? Were you your authentic self? When I think back to 10-year-old me, I liked to work alone as opposed to in a team. I remember we had to make these Tudor houses and we had to roll up pieces of paper and make a wattle and daub house. The other people in my group were just messing around. They didn't care about making it good, but I was really excited about the project and I wanted to do it properly. And obviously I didn't make many friends because my attitude back then would be, you shouldn't be messing around, you should be doing this, miss. Can you ask them to take this seriously? I didn't have many friends at that point. I went home and I spent evenings on my own, just making my own from scratch. I loved the fact that I could do something without anyone stopping me and I could just get on with it. And then I brought it to school to be like, see, this is what you can do if you put your mind to it. And that's who I am. That is me. If someone wants to just not have something work properly, I'm like, no worries, I'll do it myself. who were you at that time? If we fast forward to like when I was 12, I had my natural curly hair. I had really goofy teeth. I was just a kid who was really skinny, goofy teeth, frizzy hair. I played the cello and I would have to carry the cello on my back, making me hunched to school. And I don't remember if people were mean to me or not, but I remember feeling like a weirdo. I remember feeling like a goofball. And so I think as I grew up, my goal was to move as far away from that as I could. But I think what happened then is I kind of lost who I was. I started being more polite. I started being more not saying as much what I thought, and for fear of offending people's ideas, I started to water myself down. But reconnecting with yourself and finding that marketing spark is going to be about who was I? Who instinctively am I? Being a little bit more myself. And that means that then the people that surround you are going to be more authentically matched with you. As you can probably see today, I'm on a journey to get back to my natural hair. That's been really tricky because I'm like, but my whole brand is my straightened hair. But this is my hair when I've washed it and not done anything with it. I'm going to go to a curly specialist tomorrow. Her name is Jade. I'm so excited. We're going to do a treatment and just like, because this is not really curly, they kind of like the bleach and using different hair straightens over the years has made it not its full potential. But this is my hair. I want my hair to be my hair.
Hi guys, welcome to episode.
This is Jade.
Hi, Jade on Jade. So guys, what we're doing today is we've just twisted the top section. Because with Jade straightening her hair a lot, in the past these areas that we've been coiled top, but underneath we just brush out. These have to be fully dry, because if they're not, then they go straight.
What percentage chance is there that I'll be able to do what you've done at home on my own?
I would say there is an 85%
Oh,
chance.
really?
Beautiful. Love it.
I wish you were on my YouTube channel full time. You put me in a really good mood.
Oh.
Do you know a
Jade.
boring Jade though?
I actually don't know.
Who doesn't talk loads?
What you have to do in order to get your hair 100%,
Yeah.
you need to swing the hair dryers round. You know what I mean? You go like this, you get
have to
yourself in
have
the mood,
two.
get the energy going, turn it on, and then we get them. Your curls are back in the room.
Yeah.
At this point, what you could then do is do we can coil top, underneath we just brush out. These have to be fully dry, because if they're not, then they go into the oil and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the olive stuff, yeah.
Right.
Pronounced aloe.
Hello. Hi, can I buy some aloe oil,
Because I'm
please?
obviously from England, and I go aloe.
Aloe. Do you say
Aloe.
bath or bath? Bath.
Bath.
I'm gonna have a bath.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a bath. Yeah.
BAF.
Yeah, bath.
Right then, darling.
Cool. So I unveil.
So, are you
yeah, I
doing?
love it.
Yeah.
Are we going to do a catwalk together? And you have a customer.
Yeah. We're just.
I'm also, right now, I'm on my way to a cello lesson because I decided to get back into cello a little while ago. It's so funny that I just thought of it as a goofy thing to do. It's such a beautiful instrument. I love strings and I find the violin is like the front runner, isn't it? Gets all the attention, but the cello is really deep in your chest. And when you play the cello, it reverberates in your actual body because the cello is on your body. I'm really enjoying being a complete beginner, not being very good at it. Something of my perfectionism tendencies has been not enjoying not being good at things. So that's been nice just to get back to who I am. And the more I do that, the more I try and read and connect with that goofball Jade, it is bringing out the real me and me just feeling so happy and so confident, and that spark is really there. So let me know in comments, who were you? Who was the most authentic version of you before you started to change? And maybe you evolved in brilliant ways. This is not to say that being super glamorous is not amazing, because I look at women and men who are super glamorous and I'm like, wow, you look incredible. Makeup can be such a powerful expression of self. I also remember where one day when my room was getting quite messy, I just decided to shred it. I was just like, this stuff is in my way. And I just literally emptied everything. I had this simple backpack that went over my chest, not far off this one. I would wear it and I'd put my little mobile phone. The first mobile phone I ever had was something like 2002. I put my study books in my backpack. I walked to my best friend's house. I'd go home, do my own homework. that life, it was just me. And so now in my home, when I had kids, life got really stressful and cluttered because of children. So I did the same. I emptied my house over 2 years. We became minimalist. We just emptied the house. And now when I leave, this bag right now has my slippers, my box of nuts for my snack, and I will put my drink in there in a bit. Every time I come in the door, I just empty the bag and then I refill it with the snacks ready for picking up my kids. And that light, delicious feeling of minimal, simple living is beautiful to me. Okay, cello lesson done. I'm now gonna run into Marks and Spencer to get my head around what I'm eating for lunch, what the kids are having for snack after school, what's for dinner, because I haven't really planned out what we're eating. And this is something that does threaten to take my spark away for marketing, because today I really wanted to make this video, but I was also conscious that we're going away on Friday for a long weekend. I've always got to keep cognitively synced with what's happening with the kids. That is another reason why I love being set up the way I am, where I work for myself and I'm in charge of my own schedule. There's no task wheel because there's no leader telling me to do pointless things. It would be easy for me to get stuck on pointless things, but running was another thing that I connect with in terms of who I was when I was younger, bringing all those things back into my life, making sure that work is not everything. If you want to get that spark back, make it so that work is not your everything. If work is not going well, maybe that's okay. Maybe there's other things in your life that are lighting you up. And then I find that that follows into your work. If you've read a beautiful book, if you've been learning music, if you're into a particular sport, if you're really social, or you really love organising your room, or you really love doing interesting makeup, whatever it is that lights you up, that is going to carry forward into how you approach your job. And that's a great way to bring your spark back.
I'm gonna have some lunch now, and I like to eat lunch in peace, but because there's so much to do today, I am gonna need to do a bit of planning for videos while I'm eating, because for example, with this video, I've lost track a little bit of what exactly the point is. I know it's about getting your spark back, but at this point, I just want to make sure that I keep on track. So I'm going to use AI to bounce some ideas back and forth about how to really tighten up this video so that what you're getting as a finished product is going to be really good. And then I'm also going to draft out exactly what I'm doing for the episode that I'm filming, my more polished episode. Basically, what you're watching now has gone live this week, and what I'm filming this afternoon is going to my video editor to be published next week. I'm aiming to do a video every week now. You really didn't need to be looking at my food for this long. I quickly talk to you about how I'm using ChatGPT just to use it as a virtual brain, another person to bounce ideas off, because it is so important in my brand that I'm authentic. ChatGPT giving generic content ideas to me is not how I use it. What I've done is I've told ChatGPT what I've been doing. I'm doing a video for my audience to help them with getting the spark back. I've shared a few scenes. I've given them an overview of everything you've seen so far. And then I'm struggling to know where this is going. What should my final 2 scenes be? I'm going to be setting up my filming rig so that they can join me with that. And then I'm also going to be doing a few tasks. And then it's given me some ideas for my last 2 scenes about building systems that support creativity. And I do like that idea. And it also said, when you bring your whole self to your work, you rediscover your spark naturally. But I've already covered that, to be honest. I've basically replied to say, well, no, these people in my audience are B2B marketing managers. You know, they're feeling a bit dull and uninspired. Their leaders are just zapping their energy. What else could I do? Because I want to encourage them out of that rut. And so this is a nice key message that ChatGPT's come up with. You may not control your boss, your budget, or your workload, but you can control how you approach your work, how you advocate for yourself. The point is, I won't use exactly what ChatGPT is suggesting. I will do a little bit more prompting back and forth, but it is really useful to use ChatGPT as a virtual assistant who shares ideas with me. I guide it, I shape it, and obviously this is only one small part of what you can do in your marketing and content with AI, and I do so much more than this in so many different ways. If you are interested, we are hosting a AI in Marketing Simplified workshop on April 22nd. Let me actually show you. We're running the event alongside Ben Lee, who's the resident AI expert. What I love about Ben's approach is he's super down to earth, and he's done some cool stuff as marketing manager in a construction business. And he's just really knowledgeable about how to do things in a practical sense, because so much of the chat about AI is so in the future. What we want to focus on for a minute is just what can we do right now to harness the power of AI in our companies and just make ourselves an asset that's irreplaceable. Join us on Tuesday, 2nd of April. You can join with the early bird price if you're fast enough. I will link that in the show notes. It's literally £47 early bird. April 22nd. It's a 2.5 hour crash course. We're going to share loads of really cool things that you can do with AI. As we come to the end of this video, I'm going to wrap up with a few of my tips for how you can get your spark back and start to feel like this is where I belong, I'm in control of my career, and I'm feeling loads better. While I'm setting up my equipment for filming next week's episode, which is around why leaders are not taking you seriously, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, but also check in next week for that video. The first thing I want to say here is that if you only ever say yes and never push back, you will slowly become a task robot. We're going to have that. We've got AI who are able to just do stuff. Where your value is as a marketer is your ability to push back, to innovate, to come up with problem solving. When you're asked by sales, do this literature for me, make me a new brochure, maybe you can step back and think, well, what is the problem they're trying to solve? Go away, innovate, work out what's going to be better as a long-term fix for this regular challenge that you're facing. That's going to be good twofold, because you're going to get more respect from leaders because you're actually stepping up and not being a doormat. And second of all, it's going to mean that your company will see over time that listening to you, being more strategic, is going to get them better results. Also, try to remember that marketing isn't about doing more. You didn't get into marketing to become the sales support function. That's not what you're paid for either. A marketing manager is not meant to just do a bunch of tasks. It's about doing the right things, not taking on more, doing more. I definitely fell into this trap early in my career where I thought the more I tick off my list, finally they're going to see my worth, they're going to tell me how amazing I am. But that day never comes, because the more tasks you do, the more they throw at you until you say enough. And even when you say enough, they don't listen and it keeps going anyway. Also, leaders are not just going to hand you a seat at the table. They're not just going to be like, oh, come in. We want to change. We want to make marketing central to everything. They're going to carry on in the motions of what they've always done. So really is going to be about internally activating some kind of understanding of what you're about and what marketing's about and what you want it to be about. And lastly, if you don't become strategic, it's not going to be that easy for you to suggest what should be done. If you're anything like me, for quite a while, I'd be like, we shouldn't be doing this, we should be more strategic. And they'd go, okay, yeah, what? And then I'd be like, I don't know. Take some time to become a more strategic marketing leader. Learn the basics and fundamentals of strategy. Watch all the videos in this channel. That's what they're there for, to help you become more strategic. If you do want to join us in the B2B Breakthrough Academy, all you need to do is go to b2bjade.com or click the link in the description box, and you can learn more about how there's a brilliant community waiting for you, all going through the same process, all building a marketing strategy from the ground up. What is so interesting about my course is that, yes, while we need templates to build a marketing strategy, your value is not in point and click. Your value is about your thought process, your innovations, and how you problem solve. A big part of my course was about training and teaching marketers how to tap into that creative spark side of their mind and really go through a process of discovery. How can I clear out my desk? How can I get more organized, get rid of all this junk that is in my way so that I've got a clean slate, a simple marketing strategy, and one that I can confidently pitch to my leaders, handle any pushback they have. And just to come full circle to finish this video, the reason that I'm so good at this, at helping marketers build an internal case and sell to their leaders internally, is because I literally came from a sales background. I understand how to handle objections. Not only do I understand how to help you build that marketing strategy that you're gonna need, but also the bigger stuff like the mindset shifts, growing into your confidence, stepping up to leaders, and you actually going home and not feeling like a doormat, feeling like even if it didn't go your way, at least you put yourself forward once and for all. Don't just wait for your company to say, hey, we really want to invest in you. We really believe in you. We want you to break through this chaos that we're in and make a strategy. And we want to give you some time to do that. You have to make it happen for yourself. Reclaim that spark that you had for marketing and give it your all in the company you're in. If they don't want to know, if they just want a sales admin support person, that's also going to be okay. You just have to weigh up if that's the job you want. And you don't need huge budgets here. Having a simple marketing strategy with your creative spark, you can still do that. You don't need to be in a company that's got endless budget. If your company really won't give you more, it's really a case of, okay, here is what's going to be possible with the available resources. We shouldn't be doing 15 different things. 2 or 3 things really well. I'm going to focus on problem solving, getting close to our customers, understanding what they need, building our brand, and keeping it simple. I would love to hear from you in comments. Please tell me what your spark moment was.